Ranger Title here in Forney, Sara Smith. She's the best in the business, in my opinion. We have an open-ending understanding. You can't retire till I retire. So you'll always be working my stuff. So, how much longer are we gonna work? Oh,
I've got one just starting college.
oh,
You got at least 4 years.
I have one graduating high school next year.
So, yeah,
A grandchild graduating high school next year.
right. I started late. We're the same age, born the same year. So,
Almost the same. Almost
Yeah,
pretty.
almost.
Couple weeks apart.
a couple weeks apart.
So she just looks a lot younger than me. She don't work as hard as I do.
So I guess I didn't realize there was a Ranger, I'm in Terrell, so I don't know about that one, I'm closed there. So you're in Forney, where's the Forney office?
Right here by the bridge.
Down the street.
Literally, we go this way because you can go till it dead ends
Uh-huh,
here in front of their building.
uh-huh,
Go to dead end. Dead end's almost in a pastor friend of mine's house. Turn left and it dead ends. Take a right and it goes right in front of Ranger Title. They're there by the bridge, Pinson Bridge, behind the Emmy Holiday Realtors.
okay,
That red
gotcha, I
and
know
white
exactly,
building.
yeah.
There's a
Which Ranger do
CPA
you
and a
work
dentist in there.
40.
Cool, okay.
And so it's Sara
I closed one there
Smith S at
a year and a half
rangertitle.com.
ago. Young couple buy a house.
Good to know.
Good.
One back down here a little bit, or on the side of the road. Highway.
Oh, where is it located?
I closed one there about a year and a half ago off the highway, so I was making sure it was the same one.
They're the, well, they're not
Same
the
one.
only title company here in Forney, but they're the only one that is. Anyway,
We're too busy to even know who our competition is, so anyway.
That's a good
That's
problem.
a good thing,
It's a good
that's a
problem,
good
isn't it?
thing.
So Katie asked me to talk about the commitment. Before I get started, just my condolences to everyone on Johnny.
Thank you very much.
I just think he was a fantastic, energetic, humble, just wonderful person.
Thank
I didn't have him at the table too often, but at least 3 times a year I'd see him. He always remembered about me, my family, what my hobbies were, and I know it's a great void, so
Thank
I'm
you.
a little emotional about that, but anyway. So, basics of the title commitment, does anybody feel like they need to know basics, or do y'all need, that's what they told me we wanted to know.
I know a lot of people aren't aware
Who's new?
of Section C.
Okay. So, one thing you need to communicate to the title company is your buyer or seller's email address in some way. We send a form asking for the seller's email address. You may not want to put the buyer's email address in your contract, but it somehow needs to go to the title company. It'll be on the lender's title request, but if it's cash, we need it. Otherwise, we're going to forward the commitment to you, and if they come back later and say that they don't have it, then we show that we sent it to their agent, because that's the only person of record to receive it. So you need to forward it on to that person or provide the title company with the email address. So it's important when you get the title package from us to be sure it gets in the hands of your client. So sometimes they'll call and they'll go, "What is this? What do I do with this?" And the pat answer is you don't have to do anything, really. It's for your information. But I've made up this little card, and I've made them kind of hard so you guys can hold on to them if someone calls. And you can just kind of look at it, and that's the title. The top paragraph basically says, this is our commitment to issue a title policy based on certain things happening. Schedule A describes the transaction, who's who. What problems can occur on Schedule A. If you're the listing agent and the seller or the person in title is not the same person that you have written on your contract, it's got to be dealt with. It can often be as simple as the wife got married and now has a different last name, or it can be very, very difficult. So, you want to glance at Schedule A if it's your listing under the title vested, and make sure that title is vested in the person written on the contract, or we need to talk about that. Okay, Schedule B. I brought an example. It's one of Kim's files. so I didn't think she'd care that I marked out the buyers' names. So, so Schedule B are the things that are gonna remain on the title policy. So that's gonna be, you know, on their title policy, so it's important. And 1 through 9 are standard printed exceptions. If they want an explanation, tell them to call the title company. You know, I sat for the real estate test and sold real estate for 2 years. If I didn't have my title background, I would have been completely lost on the title part, you know. They just tell you very, very little. So there's no reason for you to become such an expert on all this stuff that are standard printed exceptions. Tell them to call the title company. And then when you get to number 10, those are the things specific to this property. Now this property didn't have very much. It had a 30-foot building line and a utility easement, I think per the plat. And that was it. So there just wasn't a lot on here. But, you know, if they start wanting a whole lot of detail, copies are provided of everything listed on Schedule B. They should read them. And if they don't feel comfortable with what they've read, they should consult an attorney. But that can come from us. You know, we can help them walk them through it. Schedule C. Schedule C outlines requirements that must be cleared prior to closing the transaction. Again, there are standard printed exceptions. 1 through 8, standard printed or requirements. And then we get into the other things. So in this case, there was a person with a life estate. She had to join in on the transaction. Kim was smart. She put her on the contract. So it's really no issue. If you go on to the next page of Schedule C, so number 11, the person had an over 65 exemption. We have to make sure that the tax office is not going to come back and take that away. They're doing it now when people are retaining life estates. The kids are getting taxed. They're taking that person's exemption away starting this year. We get stuck with the bill if we don't get a supplement, which takes about 4 weeks right now. So they're real slow. Then Schedule D just says who gets what part of the money. Now, things on Schedule C that are alarming. A deed of trust that your client told you about, not alarming. They told you they had a lien, it's listed there. Often when a person's done a modification, you sit down with them, they're not making payments on that loan mod. So they don't know they signed a deed of trust for $30,000 to $50,000. They don't know. They're not making payments on that loan. So, you know, dig as much as you can at your listing appointment to find out what liens are against the property. I don't know if you'd ask them if they've ever done a mod.
I don't know if we'd know to ask them if they had done a loan modification.
But I've had several deals blow up at the table where the person didn't know they had a second lien for $30,000 to $50,000, but they do. You know, so if you see that on there, that's a problem. Some people are going to pick up the phone and call you, and some people are not. It depends on what title company you're at.
If you don't know this, when you take the listing and you do estimated net sheet, and they don't tell you they get a second lien, that back in 08 and 09 when times got hard, they had to do a loan modification. Then they had $15,000 in payments they didn't make, which grew in interest to, you know, $22,000 by the time you get ready to close. You don't know that. You did an estimate of what their proceeds are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you get down to the last few days and they're like, there's a second lien on this property. What happened? Now they realize they may or may not be able to still close. Or they may be making $22,000 less.
Right. So, you know, it's just something that can make deals blow up. Federal tax liens, state tax liens, mowing liens, things like that. You know, if they have a federal tax lien, then they have someone they're working with at the IRS. And on your disclosure, what do they have to disclose in regards to the status of the title? Anything? Like currently
If they have any liens against them.
Okay, so, hopefully they've disclosed their liens, they're aware of their liens, and you can move on.
Or if there's a lawsuit pending against them.
If there's a lawsuit pending, all we do is to stand up at the courthouse that day. If there's no less pendants, no judgment has come down, that lawsuit follows that person, not the property.
I sold a building last year, a commercial building, that the first time, right before COVID hit, we had a buyer ready to go, was looking good, real close, and then come to find out that he had not only a private lender debt, but he also had over $100,000 in IRS liens. He never told me. This was a 50-year business owner in Mesquite, and by the grace of God, and of course, then it took months after that with the pandemic stuff, but we finally got a cash buyer, and at the end of it, he was trying to cut me out of some of my commission and stuff because it was so tight on everything. But yeah, those, and it, because of COVID, it took forever to get through to IRS and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it definitely caused me to want to ask more questions going down the road.
If it is taking forever, that's, you definitely want to know. It's a hard question to ask someone. You're trying to get the listing. And Mary Beth didn't ask me if I had any IRS trouble. So, it's up to y'all. You know what to do. Credit card judgments. So you'll see a Citibank judgment, some credit card. I think the client is best served by getting a legal help. I really do. An attorney can make a quick call, usually negotiate it down. Under Texas law, they can't stop the sale of their home. They don't have to pay them a penny. They have to provide a partial release. The debt's going to follow the person along. So if they get on the phone, these people are very, very, very skilled at manipulating these sellers. They know they need to sell. To say, pay me $3,000 and we'll just release it and get it gone. Well, your person may or may not want to do that. So I guess, the best thing to do is to figure out what are their goals. Do they want to get rid of it? If they do, then they may be able to negotiate a payoff. Probably not as good of a payoff as if they got an attorney involved and only pay them $250, $300. So you all probably know attorneys. If you don't, we do.
Is it different for an IRS loan?
An IRS loan is
Lien,
very
not loan,
different.
but lien.
It's very different. If they're making payments, then there is no lien of record, so they can just move on. But if the IRS has filed a lien against them, they're working with someone at the IRS, and the IRS does not have to give them a release. They're on the top. So it's like state, IRS, and then so any state tax lien like controller, IRS, mortgages, so, they even trump. And then, of course, real estate property taxes are at the top. So if it's IRS,
Right.
and the IRS may want $100,000. So the person has $100,000 equity, $200,000, they may even let them keep a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But rarely. They usually take it all. They usually take it, all the proceeds. But it can be done. You just have to be proactive. If there's that issue, open title, go ahead and get it started. Take a look, figure out, and now y'all have no time. From the time you take a listing.
Yeah, if you're questioning it, you really need to know up front. Y'all don't pay attention to me?
Okay.
I always forget to do this.
Well, so that's just in a nutshell. I know y'all know what's going on. If you have any questions, we can open it up for questions, or else I can just go back to my office and start.
I have some. This is just going to show my ignorance. I'm new, less than a year still, so I'm
You're not ignorant.
This is they've been blowing up the radios with it. This title theft. Does that happen as much as they're making it out to be on the radio? I know you don't believe everything you hear
You're
on the.
talking about
Not
the
at all.
scam with the wires.
Where
No,
where
he's
they
talking
can.
about title lock on
Yeah,
Fox
they're-
News. They advertise.
Somebody can do a quick claim deed and steal your.
No,
Does that not really happen that much, or
no,
they're just a scare
it's a
tactics?
scare tactic. I even sent an email to Fox News and I said, how can you put yourself out as this wonderful, arbiter of goodness and use these sort of advertisers. It's wrong.
Well, it's not. It's on more than just Fox News.
I know, but it started there.
Yeah.
So no.
So if someone asks you, you can tell them you can check for yourself, but it's not really happening that much. That like they're making
It's
it out to be.
illegal. I mean, it just can't have it. No.
It's not as easy as they make it out to be. Then. Good.
One of the things that I thought you were talking about was the scamming and the wire funds, and Sara will back me up on this. I tell my clients if they need to wire in substantial amount of money, $200,000 or $300,000, whatever, $20,000. I can send you the wiring instructions. I can request it from Title, but your bank, you need to look your personal banker in the eyes and say, "Here's what they gave me, but before you send it, I want you to call the title company and verify it." And these little gurus on this internet stuff, they know how to screw with things and change things, and
They make it look real.
it happens. Doesn't it happen?
Billions, billions, and billions.
So you go to your bank, you have them call and verify to title what's on this paper is accurate, and then they process it.
And
So-
the bank doesn't have to call because you can't always get a banker to call. You're in Bank of America, you're not going to call. But you can call the title company and verify that what you're looking at is where the money needs to go.
Yeah.
So either way, the client can call the title company. That takes it off of you guys. You have so much liability. Take as less off as take as much off of yourself as you can. You guys have so much. So, but once the money's gone, they immediately track it to India or wherever it's going. The money is gone. Your client's money is gone. So we require a wire now for any substantial amount because the bank is holding cashier's checks. There are so many fraudulent cashier's checks. So always, 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 you can't double check enough.
Y'all still take personal check up to $1,500?
Take a personal check up to $1,500. We don't really like to do it on the closing day, but it just sort of depends on the person. I haven't had a hot check in 20 years.
Just a thought I have with regards to, asking folks if they've got tax liens, that's needs to be a very careful, tactful way that's done, because so many people are always very uncomfortable if they don't know you well to discuss their finances. And usually, even when it comes to asking what, hey, do you owe anything? Even with that, I try to couch that with, I'd love to provide you with a preliminary, settlement statement that will give you a rough idea of what you can net, and I tied in with that. Otherwise, if they don't know me real well, they go, why is he asking me what I owe? So I say all that to say is if we're going to add liens to that too, which I think is a great idea, we probably need to be very careful and tactful how we do that to keep them at ease.
And
Is
to
there
tie in
any-
on that conversation, because they think, well, they wanna know how low people can go. And you gotta assure your listing person, your seller, that you're not asking that so that they can see how far down they can go, because you're there to get the most money out of it. Doesn't matter how much they owe.
That's a good point.
It's the market value of the house. And that's what they're concerned about too, is like, you want to find out how low I can go, and that's not what we're doing. You gotta assure them of that too.
Good point.
Special warranty deeds, differences. You see that stuff on,
Okay, so if you're a buyer, a special is not special because they're only warranting any defect known to them or created by them. Under a general warranty deed, they're warranting any defect, and then they would have to go back to whoever deeded to them and sue that person if there was a defect on the prior one. So the builders do it, the developers do it, there's nothing you can do about it, but it's not that big of a deal. I would accept a special warranty deed
but if,
from D.R. Horton or someone like
from
that.
a builder,
Yeah.
from a known builder, but if
Right.
it's someone else saying, hey, you have to have a special warranty, we're only going to allow a special warranty deed, should be buyer beware then, is that what you're saying?
I would probably say why, and it may be that they've hired an attorney who needs to justify his billable hours, so he's recommended that they only warrant what they know about,
Can't you pay to have a general warranty deed? Can't you pay to get a general warranty deed?
Well, no, because the deed comes from whoever signs it, so if the seller's saying they'll only sign a special, then you can't go back and have them sign a general.
You see a lot of those on like sheriff sales and that, right?
Hmm?
You
Oh,
see those
yeah.
on sheriff sales, the special one.
It's a sheriff's deed.
What's the difference between sheriff's deed and special one?
Well, a sheriff's deed, you know, they have the right of redemption on the property for 2 years.
Right.
So it's just a little bit different deed. It has no warranty in it. No, has no
We had
warranty in
someone we
it.
were on the phone with till 9:30, and wanting to go to the sheriff's cell and, or a county courthouse cell and get this, and they had someone check it and da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, I wouldn't touch it with 10-foot pole. And he
People
finally
make a
couldn't
lot of
sleep.
money,
He couldn't sleep.
you know.
So he got up the next morning and said, I didn't sleep all night long worrying about this. I said, is it worth it? We didn't go.
You just have to have real deep pockets, and if it's 20 grand or whatever, and you can sit on it for 2 years and wait and risk the 20,000, you can do that. But you know, when they come back and redeem, they do have to pay the person back for the taxes. So.
They're not required to pay the improvements if they made any?
No, that's why you have to sit on
Sit
it,
on
and you
it.
can't develop it for 2 years. So any improvements you've made, that person gets, they just have to redeem.
So if you have buyers out there saying, well, I wanna go through the sheriff's sale, or I wanna get something in foreclosure, and that's what she's saying is the 2 years. If it hasn't been 2 years, and most banks hold on to it for more than 2 years, right, before they had the foreclosure, or,
Well, on a foreclosure, you have clear title.
okay.
Yeah, on a foreclosure, the foreclosure wipes out everything, but the IRS, the taxes, and any state tax lien or mowing lien. So if any of that doesn't get handled by the title company, it's still gonna be showing on there and have to be released, but the foreclosure wipes all that out. And the foreclosure attorneys take care of that. So they get, you know, you get clean title on a foreclosure. No right of redemption, none of that. Just a hassle. And we're gonna see a lot starting to come up. You know, the banks are about to be able to foreclose. A lot of people are behind on their payments, and some people are overpaying. So, you know, in the next 2 or 3 years, we may see the market change considerably. And y'all may have some opportunities to get some foreclosures.
Short sale foreclosure rep, I highly, highly advise if you have 2 days of your life that you can sit in class, go and get your short sale. You got yours, didn't you just get yours? Short SFR?
No, but I want to.
You need to. Everybody needs to. If you can take it, I don't think you can do it online. I've only found it where, and they might can on Zoom now. It's 2 full days.
SFR.
SFR, short sale foreclosure rep. And a lot of the banks, if somebody comes to you and they want to do a short sale, if you don't have that SFR, that lender that they have their mortgage, they may not let you represent them.
I did the I did
They
the
may.
T-check that you're thinking
Yeah,
about.
T-check. They may not. So I highly advise that you get it. I've had mine for many, many years. I went to Ennis, I went to Ellis County and took it, and it was a great class. Met a lot of people, and very informational. It will tell you exactly the process. SFR, everybody needs to get it, because if you get a short sale, Melissa did a short sale, but that bank didn't have any conditions about her having a SFR certification. But we're gonna see them next year. There's no way around not seeing it when we come out of COVID. We're gonna see them.
So start sidling up to your banker friends. American National.
American
or wherever.
National.
I gotta go, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Bye.
Have
Good luck on your
Hey,
11
hey,
showings.
hey,
Happy birthday.
Hey.
I don't need the.
Take that home to your family. Don't argue with me.
I'm gonna put them on my desk and I'll eat them.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Melissa.
Happy birthday.
Bye, thank y'all.
Go sell it. Sell it big. So anyway, that's my suggestion, is to get your SFR. And she did do one, and it went through smooth. American National Bank, boy, they're quick. I did one with them. I mean,
They are
I had
great.
approval in 2 days. It was sweet. I mean, they asked me what I wanted, and I was prepared. Ding, 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 send everything I wanted. She said, I'll get you answer on this sort. No, 2 days I was approved. But
So
I've
it-
had them go 10 months.
Yeah, and at this point, they've forgotten, and they've all restaffed towards a different direction. So, you know, if you get Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, I'm sure it'll be a nightmare. you take a short sale, I'd rather have a foreclosure any day, but.
The foreclosure's a lot easier because they already own it, the bank already owns it, they've already taken it back. Short sale, your people are still there, and they're asking them to take less than owed to the bank. And you or I could be that investor that backed that note. We could have bought a note. We could be saying, how long have they had it? How much have I made on it? Am I willing to take this hit? Usually they don't take less than 10%, but well, that's a whole nother story, it's a whole
Yeah.
nother class.
And the sellers just aren't terribly motivated. So, but they can be good. Get some big ones. I think there's gonna be some big ones. So it's gonna be worth it. And, you know, they don't ask you to cut your commission either. On short
Well, they
sales.
normally pay 5%, so you just split it, 2.5 and 2.5. 5 is mostly what they will allow.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Been my experience, 5%. Some of them pay 6, but most pay 5. So really, section C is when you get in a title commitment with Zoom, that's where you need to go and.
Well, they're all important, you know, as a listing agent, A and C, as a buyer's agent, B, because that's what's gonna stay on there. But as a buyer's agent also, if the seller has a bunch of judgments and tax liens and things like that, you know, that's not good for closing date to be met unless it's been handled. So, you know, make sure that that you communicate with whoever your title company is, the email address of your party, so they can send the commitment out to the party and copy you. That takes some of the responsibility off of you to deliver that title commitment, because we only have to deliver to person, you know, delivery in the contract. And, you know, people can miss things. Title companies can miss things. So, you know, if someone else is entitled, you know, just sort of the things we talked about. If an estate is entitled and Mary Beth Jones is a person who signed your listing agreement, then there could be a potential problem. So A is important to that extent.
I learned something, this is so, you talk about feeling ignorant, Zane. I worked for an attorney and I told you this, I think you told me what it meant, or I looked it up. ETAL.
And others.
I thought it meant as they're legally responsible to deal. That's what I thought it meant. But it actually means and others. So if you have a name, ETAL, there's several names, could be several names behind that following that's not there. So it means and others. I hope that sticks in your brain. You don't ever forget it, because I promise I won't ever forget it again.
So you look at your tax roll when you're putting in your listing and it lists someone et al., then, you know, you don't know how many people are entitled. Too many for the tax office to put on there.
That was a huge eye-opening experience. A light bulb went off. Whew. And
So-
Sarah closed it.
Yes, I think it was,
Uh-huh.
was it,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't this one.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah. This was a Ladybird estate.
We
I
took
never-
care of
didn't-
some things that aren't on the commitment.
Didn't know what a Ladybird estate was. I do know what I knew it was a life estate. But a Ladybird estate actually puts the house that the person's living in the name of the children, so that when they do get ready, they don't have to go to probate. It's already to them. It's already to the kids. And it diverts off of Medicare tax, or Medicare expenses. So if there's a whole lot paid out to Medicaid, Medicare, they come back after the estate. But if it's in the name of the kids and a Ladybird, they can't touch it. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought it might be something I do when I get old.
Why doesn't everyone do that?
I don't know about it. But when we went to sell it, because she decided she wasn't going to stay there until she died, she wanted a different place to stay until she died. Well, then you got taxes going to the kids, so we had deeded out Ladybird back to her. She signed off and closed on what she's buying, and now she'll put the new one back in the Ladybird.
So one of the reasons you wouldn't do that, the children, let's say the mom was dead and we couldn't do this deed like we did on this one. They're gonna pay a capital gain on the property, rather than it be an inheritance.
Capital gains is changing though, right?
Yeah,
Getting worse.
So.
so you don't wanna do it that way then, is
You
what
don't,
you're saying?
I mean, I didn't do my mom's home that way.
Okay.
So,
Would you if she was busted broke and had none down to her name?
No,
and was-
because I would
been
want
sick for
her-
many years?
I would want her to have her money in her house to pay for her care, to get her in private first.
Mhm.
And then, because if you start private, if they have to go somewhere, then when Medicaid hops in, they still get that same level of whatever you were private paying. So you can get them in a private, So that was just our intention. We didn't want to use our mother's money for us. We wanted it to have it for her. So it's just real complicated. It can be complicated on tax law and, call an attorney. We are not attorneys. We did not go to law school. We cannot give people legal advice. We want to share what we know and we want to help people, but attorneys know things that we don't know and that we haven't seen. And it serves the client best when they want to do something like that because my sister called me and she said, let's get this property out of Mom's name. And I said, no, because of X, X, and X. Well, had the way everything went down with my mother, she still owned her home when she died. We all got sold the house and split it, but we didn't have to pay any taxes on it.
Right.
Because it was inheritance.
Gotcha.
Because it was inheritance and it was a small enough estate. So, anything else?
Very good.
Very helpful, thank you very much.
Well, you're very welcome. Good to see y'all. And come see me anytime. I'm there. My name's on the card.
Well, the one closing I've had there, I got excellent service.
Good,
So,
good.
went real well, real smooth.
Well, you still with Fulo?
Hmm?
Are you closing with Mike Fulo?
I do quite a bit, because I office in Mesquite and
Right.
it's convenient, but,
Well, we're pretty convenient to Mesquite,
well, that's true, that's true.
but I like Mike.
Seems like quite a few people
He's
are kind
a cool guy.
of getting a little more open to selling again.
Well, I spend most of my time in Mesquite. After November, I have more time to not be in Mesquite all the time, so.
Where are you going?
Oh, I'm the mayor in Mesquite, I'm not running again, so.
He's not running
I have
again.
more time to be
He's
spread
gonna
out.
hang out with us and drive us
I'm
crazy.
sitting next to the mayor of Mesquite.
That'll buy you about a half a cup of coffee, so. I'm just saying I have more time, so.
You'll have more time.
It's easy to do stuff right there in Mesquite all the time, because I'm
Yeah.
stuck there all the time.
They're really eating our state representative's time right now.
Keith Bell?
Well, all of them are just stuck up there. Yeah. So,
I like Keith, he's a good guy.
I like Keith.
We're excited that
He
he's gonna
closes
have
with
more
us.
time for him